Welcome to another episode of Home Visit with Tyler Siskey and the Associates. And today we are joined by, I guess we can call him the original associate. Way back. I don't know. I'm starting to lose track here. It's been a minute. We've known each other for a while. The man, the myth, the legend. Do we call you? Are you still considered a Falcons quarterback? Or are you free agent?
Yeah, until March.
Until March. So until March, quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, AJ McCarron. AJ, how we doing, my brother?
What up? Doing awesome. Glad I'm here.
This is going to be dangerous with me and you on the podcast. We've never done anything like this. And so I want to tell the listeners, I guess, how we met and the story about when we first met. I took a job. I was like a career GA. I was a GA for a long time, got married and had to get a real job. And I take this job at St. Paul's in Mobile. And I go down there and I get there in like April, so I'm like, want to see, what talent we got and all that stuff. And so, I'm looking up because here's a quarterback here. And there's this young kid. He's in 7th grade. He'll be in 8th grade next year. And they just kept talking about this young kid for like 3 days. That's all I heard about was this young kid that was in 7th grade. And I was like, well, when are we going to see him to do anything? And he's like, well, they play this football game out on the skillet, which is like the little rec area up to school. You need to come watch him. So it's Tony Jones was in my ear like nonstop the whole time I was down here about this kid's going to be in 8th grade. This kid's going to be in 8th grade. And so I go up there, and there's this little scrawny kid. I mean, I bet he didn't weigh like a $106. And was out there spinning it. And that ended up being you, man. You were in 7th grade. That was April of 2004. That was 18 years ago, cuz.
Yeah, golly. I'm feeling old.
You are getting old, but here's the problem is the older you get, the older I get.
Exactly.
But how about this? This is what's crazy is like you're 5 years older than me when I met you. That's how. And it's really hard for me because in my head sometimes I still picture you as the kid that was playing ball in the skillet and then coaching you. And then we've kind of our relationships kind of developed and grown over the years, which we'll talk about. But since I got you on here, you're going to be my co-host today. And we're going to start off. We'll tell some fun stories that nobody knows about here in a little bit. But I know you watched yesterday. I have turned in, I was never a really big Bengals fan until you started playing for them. And now I liked them. And then I didn't like them when you left. And now that Joe Burrow's back, I like Joe. So I'm starting to pull for the Bengals again. How about the Bengals-Chiefs game yesterday? Did it take you by surprise or what?
It did. I think what surprised me more than anything, one, Arrowhead's a tough place to play. So I knew if they got a big lead, they could run away with it. But man, I was just really shocked with how Pat played the second half. I just felt like he was trying to make too much happen rather than just be Pat Mahomes. Just get the ball out, get it to your playmakers, kind of. And they didn't, help him a ton. They had some drops and stuff, but I was really shocked just to see him have a meltdown like that. Hell, it almost reminded me when I was in Houston when we were up 24-0 on them to, go to the championship game. And so, and we had a complete meltdown too. So it was definitely shocking.
Yeah, the thing that, that you, and we talked about a little bit a couple of weeks ago, but, that you see, because I've gotten to where I'm able to watch a ton of NFL games, and you see like this evolution. Like this year, he seems to be taking, everybody's playing too deep, everybody's dropping, and he's been very patient all year long. In the first half, he went through the same thing. He was going through his read, checking it down when he needed to check it down, throwing it underneath the whole game. And then in the second half, he came out, and it's almost like he reverted back to 2 years ago. He started forcing everything deep. And, they were dropping 8 a ton.
Right.
And especially in the red zone, he got into that mode where he was forcing everything. They were dropping 8 in the red zone. And then that's when he started, thinking he was Johnny Manziel. He was just running around like a chicken with his head cut off and couldn't find and started forcing things. So, but, you got to give the Bengals credit too, man. I mean, to stop them for what they did. But, going back, and then the drive that they end up kicking the field goal on to tie it, you saw him check it down and do those things, and take what they gave him to drive down there. But that was the last pick. He was forcing it. It was third down. He was pressing and kind of forced it in there. So, but I was that was probably a shocker, but I'm glad because I had the Bengals. I picked the Bengals, so it was a good Sunday for me. But
yeah, I'm happy for the city. Hell, it's been since '91 since they've won a playoff game, and to achieve that this year, and hell, it should have been. It was close to being achieved in 2015.
So we wouldn't even want to talk about that
when we had the lead, but I'm happy for the city. I really am. It's in the organization. I always had a blast there. My 4 years there, and but they definitely got a tough one coming up though.
They do, but at the same time, I think they just played the best team in the league and won on the road. The thing is they got to, and you probably know more about this than anybody, but they're going to have money to spend in the off season. They need to spend it wisely because they got all these young players locked up on rookie contracts. I think if they go and get him some help up front, they got to get him help up front. Offensively, defensive, they need to probably get an edge pass rusher, maybe a corner. But the safeties are good, the inside guys are good. Both D tackles and linebackers. But they need a legit pass rusher on defense, and they need an overhaul up front. But I do have to give them credit. They only gave up 1 sack yesterday, but that was a little bit. You know it, and I know it. The fans probably don't. Everybody says, "Oh, they only gave up 1 sack." Well, they were getting rid of the ball. He wasn't able to push the ball downfield like Burrow's been doing.
Right.
And he's not going to be able to do it in 2 weeks against the Rams with Darnold and no.
And him and Vaughn, like they got a. That's what I'm saying. They have a defense in LA. I think that's what separates them. That to me, that's why I personally think the Rams are the best team in the league. From an offensive standpoint, now do they lack? And the only thing that does hurt them is they don't run the ball great.
Yeah.
So if Matt has an off day at all, they struggle on offense. So as long as Matt doesn't turn the ball over and stays smart and kind of just plays a defensive minded, like, hey, if it's not there, let's end in a punt and let the defense kind of get the momentum back and swing it back in our favor, I think they'll be fine. But yeah, that defense, whoo, buddy.
Yeah. It's going to be a 3-step city here coming up in about 2 weeks. But
yeah,
Rams and 49ers finished it up. I think it's very important for the fans to understand that the 49ers did cover, and I went 2-0 this past weekend, so I was very excited about that. You can't talk about that, but I can.
Yeah.
But the 49ers really good on defense, both run game and pass game. Probably, I know what the stats say. I think they're like ranked 6th and 7th. But they've had guys dinged up. Arguably, probably the most balanced defense statistically in the league.
Yeah.
And they're good against the run. They're good against. And they do it with bringing forward. They don't blitz a lot.
Right.
But offensively, they got Debo and they got Ayuk, and they got their running game's always going to be good. They got George Kittle. They got pieces around them. I get it. I don't want you to say anything in case he's a friend of yours. I don't want to get you in trouble. But in my opinion, they're a quarterback away from being an elite team. And I know I can tell you what the NFL doesn't want to see. The NFL does not want to see Aaron Rodgers going to San Francisco, going home to end his career. If Aaron Rodgers went to San Francisco with what the pieces around him, they may not lose a game.
And if you bring
Devontae
Adams, yeah.
That would.
He's a free agent too. So
yeah, like San Francisco. Like, here's what they should do: San Fran. If you're Lynch, if you're listening, which he's probably not. If I was the GM for the Rams right now, I would say, all right, here's what we're gonna do. I'm giving up my 1st and 2nd round pick for the next 2 years. Here you go, Green Bay, or they're free agents now, but maybe you can hit it before the free agency hits. I'll take Aaron Rodgers, and I'll take Adams right now because they're fixing to lose them anyway. Go ahead and beat the crowd to them, take them, sign them right now, and they would not lose. I don't know if they would lose a game.
Yeah, I mean, it would be that would be a deadly combination for A-Rod to be in Kyle's offense. I mean, hell, I think he fits that offense to a T.
And it's home. It's
Yeah.
home.
No, I
So
mean, I'm with you. And if you're, San Fran, if you're not 100% sold on Trey Lance, then you throw that in as part of the trade, or Jimmy
yeah,
G, however you want to do it.
trade them both.
Yeah, and then uh, you know, go that route, so that way you free up even more money. But yeah, that would be scary. That would be.
Yeah, that's all I was thinking about in that game last night. But good game. I'm with you though. The Rams, they got to be, it's amazing that Cooper Kupp has done what he's done because everybody knows he's getting the ball, and he still gets it. I mean, he set the NFL record,
Yeah.
and just what he's done has just been phenomenal. But I'm happy for Stafford though. He finally gets a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He's paid his dues, so he's good
Yeah.
there. While we're on the NFL, I think it was a great. I like to. Me and you can debate about this, and you get a unique perspective of it. Okay,
Yep.
top 5 NFL quarterbacks of all time. Okay, of all time, not your age or not your generation. I'm talking about all time. All right, I'm going to give you mine, and this is in no particular order. I just wrote them down, so I don't need anybody telling me that my number 3 should have been number 2 and all that shit. Okay, so my top 5 in no order is Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Elway, and Montana. That's who I'm going with my 5. I didn't put you in there. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I love you though.
I'm gonna end this interview right now. Mine would be Brady, Aaron, because I think he's just a freak. The way he plays the game.
Yes, he is.
It would be in no order for me, but I think if you mention Aaron, you got to mention the guy that taught him everything, in Brett Favre.
Yeah, I had a tough time not putting him in there. Go ahead.
Because Aaron wasn't what Aaron is today, coming out of Cal. I went and watched him his senior year, and Aaron held the ball like a robot and real high, and Brett literally changed him. And so I'd put Peyton in there, and then
you got one more.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn between Drew Brees or Dan Marino.
So no Montana.
For me,
you straight just slid Montana like to 9.
No, I didn't watch.
Yeah, like, you don't remember. You don't remember
in that era. So, and I didn't watch. I watched film on everybody else. So,
and the game was different. I mean, I get it.
The game
he won a ton though.
No, he did, for sure. But, and the only thing that kills Dan is the fact that he never got one. Yeah. So, and then Drew himself, Drew, I feel like, was just really showed that you didn't have to have a strong arm, and be able to throw the ball like it was coming out of a cannon. So
and you didn't have to be a big guy. I mean, he was a small
guy.
Yeah,
right. So I feel like he changed the game in a way.
That's another thing people don't realize about Drew Brees. I don't know what he's listed height-wise. He's not very tall.
No, he's little.
I mean,
he's not.
Me and him, like. I mean, I'm not a big guy, but he's not overly impressive size-wise.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's like listed like 6'1", 6'2". I'm like,
no,
5'10"ish.
Yeah,
5'10"ish maybe.
Right.
But anyway, all right. So I debated. We'll move on. We're going to get in some funny stuff that nobody knows about. So this is going to be fun. All right. Try not to say. We're going to try to we're going to naturally, before we start this, which will let you know, we're going to because I know my mom's listening.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she gets on me sometimes. So we're going to naturally bleep out the words before we start. Okay? All right. So just keep in mind that my mom is listening. Okay.
Yeah.
She doesn't know some of this stuff. And so when she does hear me getting on people like it and coaching and stuff, she gets mad at me. So keep that in mind. All right. So I had about 4 stories that we were going to tell me, and we decided before we taped which one we were going to tell.
Yeah.
All right. So you and I had it was a very unique relationship that we had. I had a position meeting room of 1 for a while, and then it was it was like me and you, man, Endo. It was fun.
Yeah.
So we like to rib each other and compete. We still compete, but so we were playing a team that we were much better than in Mobile named BC Rain. Okay. And I was in the box, and I don't remember why I got mad. I was trying to think back of why I got mad. I don't remember what you did, but you did something.
Oh, I do.
All right. What'd you do? You made me mad in the middle of a series. What'd you do?
Well, it was one of those games like, all right, hey, we're going to run the ball and, build up the stats for the running back. and I was tired of handing the ball off. And we had went like 3 and out one time. And
that's what it was. Because we didn't punt for like 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And you did something that made us punt. That's what it was.
No. We got stuck in a 3rd and long. They brought the house. I ended up either getting sacked, throwing it away, something.
You got sacked instead of hitting the open man. That's what it was. You took a sack.
And so I was pissed. Come to the sideline and put the headset on. We're going over the thing, and finally, I was like,
"You smarted off."
Yeah,
you smarted off.
How about we start throwing the effing ball instead of running it? You said, "Do what?" I said, "We're calling all these run plays. Let's throw the ball. What are we doing?"
That's when I went black. When you said, "How about let's throw the effing ball instead of run it?" And I may or may not have said, this is allegedly, allegedly is a great word. I allegedly may have said, how about I call the effing plays and you run the effing plays? And then I can't remember what else you said. It said something. And then I said, F this. And then all the coaches were on the headsets. It was this isn't like the separate
I took the headset off too.
Yeah. And I said, you took the headset off. I started yelling from the press box. Put the effing headset on from the press box. And this is an open air deal, right? Yeah. So we got all these fans, and they're between me and you and in the high school game. And I said, put the effing headset on, yelling from the press box. And you ignored me. And so I said, and then you get the headset back on. I said, that's fine. That's how you're going to act. I said, warm Scott up. So Scott Martin was our backup at that time because Jake was like a freshman. Jake Coker, I think, was a freshman at the time, so he wasn't ready. So Scott Martin, who's ironically Jake's cousin, must be good bloodlines. So he was our backup quarterback at that time. And I said, that's fine. Warm Scott up. I don't need you. We got plenty of other players. and so we're sitting there, and I'm still undressing you, and I'm not in a good mood I was cranky. I've grown to be much softer, by the way. Do you know that I've gotten older, I've gotten softer. And so as poor old Scott Martin's warming up on the sideline, and then we got a sudden change, got an interception. And then right in the middle of me cussing you out, I said, okay, here we go. Let's go. Rockets red 4-vert. Let's cut the throat right here. And you just put your helmet on. That's how we did it back then. That's how we did it.
That was 100%. That was, man, I can remember that just like it was yesterday. It was literally like I saw the interception happen, and then in the middle of like going off on me, all right, here we go. Just go out on the field and just start going back to it. But,
and then you don't know this part. I think it was Thomas Smith, our offensive line coach. So you got your helmet on, you started going back out there, and he goes, hey, do you want me to put Scott in the game? I said, no, he's fine. Leave him go. He's good. But I will say this, like, you were a guy that from a coach's standpoint, you got to find a way to motivate your players. Yeah. I figured that out with you pretty early. You could take hard coaching, and I think and we'll talk about that in a little bit. You probably take hard coaching better than any player I've ever been with. Now it was a lot easier because you grew up like that. Your dad's hard on you, and then you got it with me, and then you got it with Coach Saban, and I mean you've and then Bill O'Brien. You've had it in your career now.
Yeah.
You've had some guys, and that's how you respond. And I tell you're one of those that I couldn't give you 2 inches, because if I gave you 2 inches, you would take a mile.
Yeah.
We were debating on telling the story. I did yell at you from one other time in the press box, and I was debating on telling the story how we were practicing 2-minute drill in a game that we were up on, and you decided to throw a go route on 4th and 4 just to pad your stats because we were going the game, and it was incomplete. That wasn't a good.
Yeah, it should have been caught though.
You overthrew him. You overthrew him.
It hit off his hands. Destin was literally almost caught everything.
He was 9 yards behind the guy, and you overthrew him.
Yeah, but
you just could have thrown a little 2-ball in there. You just could have thrown a little 2-ball in there, and it'd been perfect. Instead, you threw it.
And the thing is, we said it in the huddle. I was like, "Hey, if they rotate back down to the right over here, to the 3-man side, I'm coming to you. I'm gonna look this way. I'm throwing." He's all right, and so they literally just everything happened like we said, and then I just kind of threw it, and man, I wish, but yeah, you were definitely.
I don't know if I've ever told you this. Do you know why I was really pissed off about that whole deal? And if you're not watching this on video and you're on the podcast, you got to get on the video version to see what I'm about to do. This is what set me off. I'm in the press box. I saw them rotate, and I saw your eyes go to Destin. That shouldn't have been where you were going, by the way. And just for the record, the I forgot what you called that route. The cross-face route by number 2, which is where you're supposed to go with the ball, was uncovered, okay, and where you were supposed to go with the ball. But this is what pissed me off, is when you looked at Destin and you came set and you got your hands ready to call for the ball, you pause for a second and you look and you make eye contact with me in the press box. Like, all right. And I'm like, you little shit. I was like, you little shit. You're about to do this. And like, you looked at me like, ha, 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 this is what I'm about to do. And then that's what set me off, is you actually you took the time in the middle of before you took the snap to look over and make eye contact with me before you did what you knew you were going to do. That's like your kids. Now you got 3 kids, so it's like your kids looking at you right before they know they're going to do something, they still do it just to spite you. So yeah, that was that one.
That was that was fun.
I'm going to tell you one more quick story. I had you early. I'm probably going to make some people mad when I tell this story. I don't know if I've told you this or not. So I knew you were talented. I had you, you started as a freshman, but when you first came to me, what we would do is we had a senior quarterback, right? And so what we would do is you and Pat Brown, who's now flying A-10s for the Air Force, great athlete, but he was a senior and you were a freshman. And so what we would do is we would go, all right, you got two series, and whoever has the hot hand will continue to play.
Right.
And so I knew you were talented, and I knew I had to do that. I was forced to do that by the guy who was the head coach at the time. And so, but I really wanted you to be my guy because I could do more stuff in the offense when you were in there than I could with the other one. I don't know if I told you this or not, but this is probably, I'm going to make a lot of people mad by saying this, but I used to sabotage the play calls when Pat was in the game. So he wouldn't have the hot hand. And then I would like make yours super easy, to get. So I was like, look, I mean, he's hot, he's throwing completions, but I may or may not have called the protection backwards a few times.
Oh God.
Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, I would call.
That's great.
I would set the formation into the field and set the protection back to the boundary, and so they just bring strong pressure and just tattoo us. Would have nobody there, and yeah, I did that. I did that a few times. So I sabotaged the play calls on purpose, and then we call they'd be like a dead cover 2 team, and I call hitches in the cover 2. I would completely sabotage the play calls, and but
awesome.
So when you get out there, I would ease them up a little bit so we could keep you in the game. You didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't. But that's awesome.
You think Pat's gonna be pissed when he hears this?
Pat probably not. His mom,
yeah. His mom's gonna be really pissed. Miss Michelle's gonna be pissed when she hears this. Yeah, sabotage play calls. But yeah, but we still won the game, so it didn't matter. I mean, we won the games.
Yeah.
That's all that counts.
I mean, hell, we brought them their first state championship. So
yeah, and they've been doing pretty good since. So
yeah,
that's that. So, all right. So let's the last thing I want to tell that this is we talk a lot of recruiting on here. This is something that happened with you that kind of and all the people that, especially Ole Miss fans, I've done some interviews in the past and things like that about how much I think the rankings a lot of times are complete bullshit. I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you have a strong opinion of this. And I believe I've told this on the story. I don't know if I have or not. I keep saying that, but I don't remember. But so you really opened my eyes with this ranking stuff. So when the first time that Rivals recruiting rankings came out, you were like in the beginning of all this craze, right? So when you were coming out of high school, it started to get popular. And I remember like your junior year was like the first time they did like an advance, deal. Mm-hmm. And so what was your ranking like when it first came out? Wasn't you like the number 3 overall player in America? Am I right on
that? I can't remember. It was up there.
I mean, you were top 10 maybe? I don't know. You were one of the top players in the country, right?
Yeah.
On Rivals, and it was Rivals, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
I want to make sure I don't get sued on this deal. I think it was Rivals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and at the time you're young for your age, or like you were young, like you graduated early. I mean, not early like December, but you were a year ahead of where you're supposed to be.
Right.
So I believe at the time you're like 15 years old and you're about to be in your junior season, right? Mm-hmm. And we got a good team, and I think that was the year we ended up winning it. We got a good team. You're being, heavily recruited already, and you come to me and you're like, Coach, I was like, you said, this is ridiculous. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I mean, these guys call my phone all night, all hours of the night from all these different schools wanting to do interviews. And it's like you were telling me it was taking up too much of your time. And I remember saying, look, I think it's good that you do interviews. Okay. I think you should do those, but let's set up a time, because we had your schedule set up where you were with me for like 2 hours a day during school day. Mm-hmm. When we would watch film and meet and all that stuff, because you didn't like to lift weights back then. So I took care of you. As long as you threw it right, I was okay. But anyway, I said, let's 1 hour a week. Let's set this aside. It was like 12:30, 1:30, whatever it was, for you to do your interviews that time. And so you were like, yeah, that's a good idea. So I called, I don't remember who it was, so I don't want to get anybody in trouble at Rivals. They've probably long gone. But I called the head guy. And I said, hey, look, can we do interviews for AJ every Tuesday from like 12:30 to 1:30? He'll do every interview you want from 12:30 to 1:30 every Tuesday. And the guy was pissed. Do you remember that?
I don't.
So he was pissed because you were supposed to do an interview with him. You were supposed to do an interview with him. And I was like, he'll do it on Tuesday at 12:30. And he was so pissed that you dropped the next day in the rankings to number 100. Like he knew he couldn't take you out of the top 100, but you went from like, I think you were top 10. 3 keeps sticking in my head for some reason, but you went from like number 3 or 8, whatever it was, to number 100 the next day.
Yeah.
That's when I knew it was.
I remember that part, yeah.
And then you came in all pissed at me because I got you dropped in the rankings.
Hell, back in the day, you think those rankings mean everything, and then as you get older, you're like, that didn't mean shit. But that was that's when I knew, like, all right, well, the ranking system's so rigged from their aspect that it really doesn't even matter. Hell, I don't think I ever climbed back up, really.
Yeah, I think you graduated from that spot. They refused to move you.
Right. I think they kept me there.
They refused me, even though you finished runner-up for the Heisman Trophy. That wasn't good enough. You stayed 100. They don't want it. They wouldn't. Usually they like change their rankings to make it look like they knew what they were doing. Nope.
No.
You made them mad. So
all
right, you've been in the NFL now. How many years are we in now? Like 8, 9? What are we on?
8. Going into next year will be 9.
You got any gray coming in yet?
I'm sure I do. I mean, hell, dealing with three boys.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't have any on the beard, but I'm sure somewhere in my head.
It's coming. It's coming. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, what advice? Because you've been through it and you went through the ringer. What advice would you give a rookie quarterback coming to the NFL right now? Like, if you just give one quick piece of advice, what would you give them?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is it's an extremely long season, especially now that we play in another game, and learning quick how to take care of your body, whether that's, having a team that helps you out, or a vet that you kind of learn from and see, hey, this guy's in year 15. Well, how have you lasted? How is your body still feeling good? Because a lot of times that's what ends guys' careers early, is just the fact that their body can't take it anymore. So I think whatever you can do to kind of prolong the the process of body just going down on you.
Father Time is undefeated,
Yeah, for sure.
untied and unscored upon.
Yeah, and I would say that is the biggest thing, because everything else you're going to learn as you go.
I got a question, because I don't know if I've even asked you this. Who in like because you've been around, Cincinnati, had a stint in Buffalo, then you went to Oakland, Houston, and now in Atlanta. Who was like, what vet, I guess, kind of like helped you the most, like advised you and gave you the most advice?
And I was blessed to be around a great QB coach, Ken Zampese. His dad's famous coach for the air raid deal, I think, with the Chargers back in the day. But he really just helped me kind of. Now, Zamp is over the top, like just worries about everything. And back in the day, like, if this is a 3-step drop, like, you got to take 3 and let it go. Like, you can't hesitate, or you can't take extra hits or whatever. But he really just helped me early in my career. Him and Hugh J were great dudes to work with, and really taught me a lot. And Hugh was, more of the relaxed, like, hey, just go out and play your game. So I was able to kind of get it both ways. And I would think them, Andy was great for me, but it took Andy a while, and I've told Andy this before, so it's nothing new, but I don't know if Andy didn't trust me early, and hell, and I was young and hadn't seen enough games, but I think once I played when he got hurt, and then I played and took over, Andy really, for the remaining 2 years after that, really trusted me, and our relationship grew extremely well. But so, of course, Andy was another great one that really helped me.
That's it. I don't know if I ever asked you that. I was
Yeah.
kind of curious. I just got thought of it right then. So, but here's the really important question I want to ask you: is how old do I have to get before you can beat me in golf? Do I have to move up to the senior tees, or what age group do I have to be in? Do I have to be like the upfront tees and senior citizen
Now,
discount
listen,
before you can start beating me in golf?
Listen, I don't want to. Now, we'll talk about it, because now Siskey can hit it a country mile. Now, where that country mile's directed towards all the time, like,
it could be right, left. It doesn't matter.
He doesn't know.
I've admitted that on this podcast, just so you know. I don't
now
claim
when
to
you're
be.
on, you're on. I will give you that.
I can go low when and I told him this, and you can back this up. We were just talking a few weeks. I think it was Matt Wells we were interviewing. I said, look, a lot of people accuse me of sandbagging, because I can go out there and look really bad, and people like, I could literally go out right now and say I'm a 15 handicap, and people will be like, and like, I could legit play that. But then when I go shoot a 77, they're gonna be like, "That's bullcrap. You're not a 15 handicap."
Right.
No, I can be. I can be. It's just I've admitted such that the white stakes are not my friend.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Hell, there's been days, well, especially over the past couple of years, when I got a swing coach, and
So you cheated. You didn't go I'm all natural. You cheated and went to coaches.
Listen, I went all natural. I went as natural as you freaking go, because my first clubs were your old club, Mizuno Blades.
That's right. I
That
gave you
were
your first set of
way
clubs.
too small for me.
That was fun, and you hit those things for a long time because I'm a
Yeah.
midget. Okay, I don't know if that's PC or not. I'm a short person. I'm calling myself that, so I guess it's okay. And you're out there at 6'4", trying to bend over and hit my little clubs, and you hit them for a long time until you made money.
Did. Yeah, and the fact that they're blades, like when you first start playing, like
Hey, you gotta be a baller, man.
that's
It's all
going
about ball
all the
striking.
way in, right? So,
you gotta be able. You never could figure out why the ball kept going left or right on you so much.
yeah, right. I was wondering why it felt like it was a Easton Redline bat with the BBs at the end of the cap, and my hand was stinging every time. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? But
I didn't think
I've definitely gotten a lot better.
You have. I did not think you would ever pick up golf. Okay, because I know a fact about you that nobody, maybe only the very few that are very close to you know, is you hate doing. And what's funny is my wife is like this too. By the way, you hate doing anything that you're not going to be the best at. And that's why early in your career, that's why you didn't like the weight room, because you didn't want to go in there and these dudes are doing all of pressing his weight and all that stuff. And then we started playing golf. You were so bad, and you were hitting those blades. That was awesome, by the way. And you're like, oh, I can't hit it straight. And what you could do. You're a great athlete. You play baseball, basketball, all that stuff.
Yeah, right.
But and drafted in baseball. Probably should give you some love on that. You got drafted in baseball. The Yankees, right?
Yeah.
Do you even know who drafted you?
It was. Yeah, I can't remember. I just remember having to call like a bunch of teams, telling them that I was sticking, to football, but I was supposed to play baseball in college, and then that didn't work out with Saban. So
what? Huh?
Yeah.
What? That didn't work. we'll get to old Nick here in just a minute. But you don't like playing. You don't like doing anything that you're not the best at, and then you stuck with it. And to your credit, it is the only thing I've ever seen you like work through that you decided you were going to get good at it. And every year, and that's why I was joking, but every year we play, you get a little bit better, a little bit better. You used to have this butterfly cut that you start on left and it would end up in the middle of the fairway. You hit it straight. You got rid of that. You starting to get a little distance. How about this? How old do I have to be before you can hit out there with me?
Listen, I don't.
I still got old man strength.
Yeah, I don't try to create 2 hernias every time I swing the golf club. Mine is
you got a career to worry about.
Yeah, mine is just, hey, let's hit this pure, smooth. Like I just want my little draw to it. The fact that I'm trying to demolish the golf ball, I'm gonna leave that for you.
I am a scramble guy though. You want me on your team in a scramble?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I'm a scramble guy.
I'll put it there. Like I'm gonna hit it good, but
I always go last.
Absolutely crush it. Yeah, and I'm just gonna put us in. And now when it comes to the wedges, like that's my game. From 150 in putting, that's where I've really just grown. So
like what people don't realize is me and you in a scramble. I think. Me and you in a scramble, we're okay. But if it's me and you and Uncle Tony in the scramble, we're undefeated, because if we don't make the score, Uncle Tony's gonna pencil whip the rest of the tournament. Me and you'll be walking off pissed off because we birdied a par 5, and we'll get back in the clubhouse. It'll be like coming in at 23 under. Like, yeah, Uncle Tony, he'll pencil whip the rest of us. So I guess we're getting all kinds of trouble now. All the people down in Mobile, they're never going to let you play in a scramble ever again. Or they'll let you play. They won't let Tony play anymore.
Right. They're going to be pissed.
All right. I've seen you. I remember one time, I want to say, I know what game it was. We had a comeback at McAdory on the road. I think you were a sophomore, and you got hit, and you were peeing blood for a while. You took some hits. They were playing cover 0, and I told you just hold on to it as long as you could. We'll get open. What's the hardest hit that you ever took? Like the guy who's hit you the hardest? Can you remember the hardest hit you ever took?
The one that always, whenever people ask me that, the one that always comes to mind is Von Miller. It was the Monday night game.
It was like cold outside too?
No, it was freezing. It was like
I remember that one.
16 degrees, so it was my first ever that whole year I started. So my first game starting was against San Fran, who had unbelievable defense playing at home. Like they had a terrible record, but playing at home, they hadn't allowed anybody over 21 points all year at home. They still had a crazy defense. They had Bowman at linebacker. Who was the other really good linebacker?
You got me there.
Damn. But Navarre Bowman, I remember walking up the first play for that, and he walked up as I was getting under center and just like said something and pointed at me, and I was like, shit, he is huge. Like, please, God, don't kill me. And then second game was the coldest game I'd ever played in. It was like 16 degrees at kickoff, something like that, in Denver.
And you don't like the cold. Like, I don't like the cold, but you don't like the cold.
Yeah, and I've gotten used to it now, but yeah, I absolutely hated the cold. And so I just remember I would, because I wet my towel so I just don't lick my fingers. And I would, every time I'd wet my towel, we'd go out and we're 2 plays in, it's a solid block of ice. I was just dumbfounded that game.
That was Peyton Manning was on the other side, right?
Yeah, and he was hurt that game, and Brock Osweiler was quarterback.
Right.
But they had the number one defense in every category that game. They had 8 Pro Bowlers that year. That's the year they won it all. But we're beating them. We're up 17-3 at half. We had thrown it the whole first half, and we started running it a lot in the second half, trying to run the clock out.
I bet you didn't tell Hugh to freaking throw the ball instead of run the ball.
No, I didn't. I didn't have the pull at that point. I was kind of just playing. But the second half, we had a big third down. We were backed up. I think we were inside our own 10-yard line. And we were in trips right. We called trips right 3-jet Delta. Delta was our all-go. I had Mohamed Sanu at number 3, and they went into a cover 2 deal, and I first caught it, moved the mic a little to the left, and then I came back to peek Sam and try to just give him a quick shoulder, and I was just going to kind of throw it a little blind, but I knew Mo was going to be in the middle right there. It was 3rd and 14. And as I'm doing that, and I go to give the shoulder, I see, up front they had DeMarcus Ware on one side, Von Miller on the other side. They had Jackson and then somebody else inside. Well, they had put DeMarcus and Von on the same side, on the right side. And I'm like, so I see them. I see it all happening as I'm going back. I can kind of tell. And I see him running a stunt. Well, the center goes left, and Von loops, and I can't remember who was, maybe Clint or somebody, got hung up riding the inside guy out, and Von is looping right up the middle, just untouched. And I'm like, oh, this ain't going to be good. So at this time, this is second half, remind you, we went in at halftime, and it was night at this point. We came out in the second half. It literally felt like I stepped on another planet. Like it was so cold. I literally couldn't move. I remember one time, like, we got a turnover or something, change of downs, and I waited to the last possible second when he was calling the play to get off the bench, the heated bench, because I was so cold. But and I see Von just coming, and I know, like, I'm just gonna have to take this shot.
That's a good feeling.
I still, if I cough too hard, I might have a little chest pain from Von. But he just decleated me. My helmet, I was literally looking up through the holes of my chin strap. when I was laying on the ground, and yeah, I remember he was like, "Jay, you good?" And I was, at least it was nice of him to check on me because he probably thought I was dead. But
Yeah, he
yeah,
checked on you. He just asked you if you was all right.
yeah. So, but no, that was definitely, I'd have to say, one of the hardest hits I've ever taken.
I remember that one. I do
Yeah,
remember that one because that was like one of those you saw was coming, and then
yeah,
you don't have a choice. It's just
no
put your big
choice.
boy britches on and take it. You
Right,
know.
you got to.
All right. So you and I also have, we got a lot in common. I think that's why we get along so much. But one good thing that you and I have in common is we've both had our ass ripped many a time
Oh yeah.
by the greatest football coach of all time, and that's Nick Saban. So I've never told mine on here, but what's the best ass ripping that you ever took from Coach Saban? What's the one that you won't ever forget?
Well, the one that always comes to mind, and if anybody ever watching this asks Coach about it, hopefully he remembers it. But we were in practice, and the OCs I had with McElwain and Nuss. Well, they both would let Saban just get under their skin, and they would just get so. Matt would just get mad and would go into the dumps. Nuss would just worry about everything. And Nuss is one of my good friends, love him
Freaking
to
love the
death.
guy. With
Yeah,
the
he's
Cowboys,
awesome.
quarterback's coach for the Cowboys now. For those
Yeah,
that don't know,
and so we were in practice. This is, I think, spring ball, and they were working on certain blitz packages, and I had seen all their blitzes. And so at this point, this is my senior year, and at this point, I'm like, I mess with them all the time. I would
you had a
when
lot of
we
leverage at that time.
yeah, I
You
would
had no worry that you were not going to be the quarterback.
right. And
Okay.
so I mean, even when we did Bama Jacks, like I'd break it down and jump on his ass and call him out, and he would get pissed or he would smile, like he would act like he was pissed. But um, they were working on this blitz, and I didn't know what blitz they were working on, but I can see it. I'd seen it for many years, and so I'm like, you know what? And we were just getting just reamed
Oh yeah,
in
because
all
he
practice.
scripts. Did you know
Yeah,
he scripts like for defensive success? So like he was
yeah.
trying to script you.
We get pencil whipped all the time.
Yeah,
That happens
bad.
anytime you play for a defensive minded coach. Like practice is just gonna, and practice was never good if the offense did good that day.
No, it was
Like
the worst practice ever.
worst. And so only if the defense was successful against
Yeah,
our offense, which they should have been, was the
yeah. You wouldn't have
practice
a first
good.
down all week. You wouldn't have a first
Right.
down all week in practice, and he was like, "We're going to kill them. We're great."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, I don't know how
Exactly.
we're going to score in points, but we'll go ahead."
Right. And so uh, I'm like, at this point, it's just towards the end of practice, and I'm tired of it. And we're doing one of the last periods, and it was a throwing period, and so we lined up. It might have been like trips right, Joe Bama, and I
All right,
see the
hey, all
blitz.
right. So let me explain to the fans what that is. Okay, so Jill Bama is going to be the inside guy. The number 3 guy is going to run a little pivot route off the. I guess that would be the Sam in a 4-3 structure, the
Mm-hmm.
outside backer, and then number 2 guy is going to run a dig like a 15-yard in right behind it, and you're going to hit the window between the Sam and the Mike. At the far right backer, you're going to hit the window with the dig, and you have alert on the outside. So go ahead.
Yeah, and so they had been playing it, and so I'm like, screw it. I said, I'm just going to change the play. And so we get up there. I see it, them starting to move. I can tell what they're going to do. And so I change the play. And I hit Cooper, Kevin, or somebody for a huge play. It was like a 40-yard gain. So we run down, and we were backed up almost. We were on like the 5-yard line. And so hit them. We start moving. It was like move the ball period. We're running down, and we run another play. Well, then the next play, it was like stop the clock situation. So I knew him and Kirby were going to come up with a blitz whenever the clock was stopped. So I get up there, do a dummy cadence, kind of see it, and change the play again. And so at this point, I hit him for another one. So we flip the field. Like, I think we scored or whatever. Saban's going off. He's going off on us first. And then he goes off on me. And so he's like, gosh damn it, AJ. Like, the fucking period's not about you. Like, it's not about you. Like, we're trying to work on things. Like, stop the shit. Stop it. And so I kind of, went back at him a little bit, like, well, hell, we're sitting here getting killed. Like, we're not getting anything out of it. Like, I understand you're working on blitzes, but we're not just going to sit here and take it. In the game, I wouldn't sit here and take it. Like, we're going to change it. So he was like, shut up. So calls the play. Nuss comes up to the huddle, calls the play, next play. And so.
Don't change it.
Yeah, Nuss is like, AJ, please God, don't change the play right here, okay? Just please don't change it. I'm like, all right, I got you. And so he calls in the play and go up, and I told him, I said, listen, I'm not gonna say anything out loud. I'm just gonna hand signal the audible, and so Saban, I see another blitz coming, and they swapped it from the other side. And so I changed the hand signal. We hit him for a go ball or something deep, and he runs all the way down, scores. Saban is going absolutely nuts. Like, has called practice, and he was losing it. And hell, I got brought up to the office, me and Nuss, after, and got our asses chewed some more. But
by the way, do you know who else got their ass ripped on that day because of what you did?
No.
Me.
Yeah.
Because I was totally not involved.
Yeah.
But this is just how it was. And we were in there watching film, recruits or something later on that night. And he was still fuming about it. He was still pissed about it. And then he goes, it must have been the way he was taught. I don't know who coached who brought that son of a bitch up. It must have been the way. And so yeah, I got my ass ripped about it too. So yeah, I appreciate you. I meant to tell you that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. But all kidding aside, is like, and fans need to know this too. That was like his personality.
Oh,
I love the guy. Like, it was never like, he never made it even as bad as he could get on you. If you didn't like, you could take it, like some people could take it the wrong way and be done with it. But it was almost like, I mean, he forgot about it 2 seconds later and loved you to death. I mean, he's just, he's it was almost where it was funny. Like, it was almost like it was awesome when he got fired up. You know what I mean? Like, it made practice, it made work, it made everything kind of lively, gave some juice. So
right, yeah, 100%. And hell, I mean, me and him have always gone back and forth, but I think, to me, and this is just my opinion, but from a college standpoint, I think it's hell, I'd put us up there with the greatest runs from a head coach to quarterback over a sustained success in
you
college
won
football
3
history.
in 5 years. You won 3. You won 19, 11, and 12, and then that's. I mean, look at you. You're turning into a regular old broadcaster. Here we go. You just teed me up for my next question. So of those, so you were at Alabama 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What was the best Alabama team that you played on while you were there? The best team that you think?
From an all-around standpoint, it's 2010, when we had 3 losses, which blows my mind. You know, we went in 2009.
Everybody
had
back.
had damn near everybody back, and lose three games that year.
I haven't asked Nick.
And somebody else.
Yeah, it was Auburn, South Carolina, and LSU.
Yeah, Auburn, South. Yep.
I haven't asked him since, obviously, because I think the 19 or 20, or maybe it was a 20 team, I don't know. 19 and 20, he had two good teams, but I haven't asked him. This 20 team was so good. But when up until recently, he would tell you the same thing, that his best team, that 2010 season still eats on him a little bit too.
Yeah.
And then the 13 team, I know you probably had the most weapons around you that you had in a year. And then the fans know, because it scarred me. We'll talk about the kick six in a second, but one thing I want to, which I can't believe we're talking about it. Like I think I may take that the hardest. I don't know. That was, I don't know. I can't believe we're going to talk about that. See, that's how much I love you. Is I'm going to talk about it. I refuse to talk about it. I still haven't watched it, but we'll talk about it in a second. All right, I want to. So I will say this: I've been around a bunch of them, coached a bunch of them. You were one of my first ones, but you're a tough dude. You played through a lot of pain. Let's tell a little story that nobody knows about. That I bet you there's not 5 people on this planet that know this story. But let's talk about. You're playing Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Your junior year, sophomore year, I can't remember Alabama. I don't remember which one.
Yeah. Sophomore. It was my first year.
So you're starter. And a lot of things that people don't know is Nick likes to have quarterback hold, okay, for field goals. All right, and you were the holder that year as well. Let's go through the fake field goal and the events leading up to the fake field goal that fans are really, like I said, there's probably me, you, Nick, and maybe Jeff Allen are probably the only people that know the story. Go ahead.
Yeah. We were playing Arkansas at Bama. It was I think, third game of the year, but it was the 7th play of the game. There was a 3rd down. I had taken off. It was like 3rd and 8 or something. Taking off for the first down, trying to run and get it. I end up like a yard short. And I got hit in the thigh, but I was kind of diving. And so I got hit in the thigh and then hit again to where I landed on my shoulder in an awkward position. I knew something was wrong with my shoulder because my shoulder pad was literally like sticking up a little this way. So I'm thinking, like, when I got up, I'm like, damn, I just broke my collarbone. And luckily, the linebacker that hit me for Arkansas broke his arm. And so there was an injury timeout for him. We go to the sideline. Mike Williams, who was tight end for us, I said, Big Mike was standing by me. I said, Mike, I said, put your hand on my shoulder pad, feel this. He does like that. He said, I said, I think I broke my collarbone. He said, something's messed up. We got to tell the trainer. I said, no, we ain't telling the trainer. I said, shut up, just come here. And Saban comes over to me right as we're doing that. And I'm looking at Mike like, don't you say anything. And Saban's like, you want to run the fake field goal? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm thinking, all right, I know this is, I got to throw it. So how in the hell I'm going to do this? Like, I couldn't lift my arm up. I'm like, this ain't going to be good.
So for the people that don't know, your shoulder was dislocated.
Yeah, dislocation. Dislocated shoulder, sprained AC joint, rotator cuff. Like, it was jacked up. And so he's like, all right, let's run it. So we go out there, and I told Mike when we were coming from the sideline, I said, listen, I don't know where the hell this ball is going to go. Okay. I said, but please just go get it. I said, I'm going to try to throw it to you, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to throw it out there. And I said, just go get it. Do something. And so we break out into the formation. I half roll to my right, throw all the way back across the field to my left. And as I'm literally throwing, I feel the shoulder pop back into place. Luckily, it's a beautiful ball. He catches it. We score a touchdown. I run straight to the sideline. And I tell him, I'm like, hey, we got to go to the back. We got to give me some medicine to help this thing.
Some Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah, go away. And so for the remainder of the year, hell, I didn't throw a pass all week during practice. That was the 4th game of the year. We played in the beat LSU in the national championship. So for the remainder of the season, I didn't throw one pass during the week, not one. I did nothing but handoffs. I'd go through my reads and just stand there and come out on Saturday, take some medicine, and go out and throw for the first time on game day.
Don't you
And
love when you know, like, nobody knows you're going through that, right? Because
yeah,
Alabama, look, and people can say what they want to say about Alabama. Like, that's the place where, like I think Nick knows where, like, Jimmy Hoffa's buried. Okay, I mean, like, that's the place where intel goes to die. And so,
right,
you know, they don't let people in there. And so none of the media knew that. Nobody picked up on that the whole year, that you're not practicing, basically.
right,
You had the black jersey on because all quarterbacks have black jerseys on, right?
right.
So nothing was ever out of, you know, AJ's fine. But doesn't it piss you off a little bit when people are like, I can't believe you missed that throw on Saturday? Like,
Oh
hey, you know, ass clown, I haven't thrown a ball
right,
all week, and that's my first ball. I
right,
missed by an inch and a half. Forgive me.
right.
You
Yeah.
know, it's like what the fans don't know is that kind of stuff goes on, and you're like, they're drilling your eyes out because the ball's not where it's supposed to be, and you're like, hey, that's the first ball I've thrown all week.
We had no timing, like couldn't work on anything that year. That was a hard year, and so luckily, you know, leading up to the national championship game, you had back in the day, you had a month break,
Right.
and I would literally get a shot once every 2 weeks just so I could throw during that period. So we at least had some timing, and it helped in the national championship game. And 2 days after that, I had surgery on my shoulder and got it fixed, and it was great my whole junior year, and then injured it again my senior year against Tennessee. But yeah, nobody really knows that story until
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, they do now.
Yeah,
I knew.
yeah, you did
I
know.
know. I know. All right, so let's talk about I'm going to rip the scar off. I really hate talking about this. This is really going. I'm I still have not watched it. Let me tell you how it was. I couldn't remember. Like, I just don't watch it. It's, you know, mine's because of the bonus that I missed out on. So that's why, you know, that that hurts me. But anyway, so you were a holder your whole life. If you were the holder, but you did not hold your last year. That's when the first time he went away from, like, it was like the
Well, no,
punt.
I held. No, I held. That was the only kick of my whole career I didn't hold.
Huh?
That was the only kick of my whole
Oh, it was because
career
Griff went in
because Griff went in
and Griff worked with Cody.
and Cody Mandel in practice would hold for him.
That's why,
And
dude, I'm sitting there going, like, I was sitting there thinking, like, I was thinking about this in my head again. And then I was like, over the weekend, I've really tried to forget this. I really
yeah,
have. I mean, people really don't understand. Like, this is a game to everybody, but it really hurt me physically, emotionally, in the bank account. It crushed me.
yeah,
Not because I bet on the game, because of bonus structure and contracts. So, but I was trying to figure out, I was like, why was Cody holding that play? And for whatever reason, I got to my head, I was like, I don't think he held the whole year. And then I was like, AJ wasn't hurt. I was I didn't know. But so Cody Mandel was the holder because we used our backup kicker because he could kick it further to try to hit the, whatever it was, a 58, I don't know, 59,
yeah,
whatever it was.
right.
I didn't know. But so here's the question. If you were the holder for that kick, would you have made the tackle?
Well, I tell you what, I wouldn't have ran the wrong way. One, and then I wouldn't have tried to arm tackle. I told, you know, funny story. I told we were at the award ceremony in Orlando. You know, later after the season, before bowl games, and it was the night I won the. Yeah, we were in Orlando. It was the night I won the Maxwell, and we were at the bar. It was me, my dad, and Gus Malzahn. I loved Gus. Gus was awesome. Gus recruited me when he was at Tulsa before, and before he went to Auburn, and he was just an awesome dude to sit down and talk to. And we sat there for a while and told stories, and I told Gus right then. I said, "Listen." Before we got up to go to the award ceremony, I said, "I just want you to know." I said, I might not have made the tackle. I said, but you or one of your coaches on that sideline were going to get decleated. I said, I don't care if I would have got suspended for the rest of the season. I was going to drop kick somebody. Like just straight up WWE style.
I had my folder open. I'll go ahead and tell it. I'll rip the scar off. I have a folder open, and I remember Kevin Steele was sitting to my right. Okay, and I actually grew up an Auburn fan. Okay, and so I lived through the '80s, and Van Tiffin is a legendary Alabama kicker because he walked it off in the Iron Bowl in like '85 or somewhere in there. I think it was '85.
Yep.
Okay, kicked like a 53-yard walked off. Legend. I mean, the guys will never buy another meal in the state of Alabama ever. Okay. And so Griff's coming out, and Griff, we knew had a strong leg. And I remember slapping they were debating whether it was going to be 1 second on. They had this TV timeout or whatever. And I slapped Kevin Steele in the leg, and he took his headset, did his headset like that. And I said, there's no longer going to be a Van Tiffin. There's fixing to be Adam Griffin, and he's fixing to walk this thing off, and he's going down in lore. I said, let's go. And he kicks it, and what coaches do in the box, and if you're a coach listening, you know exactly what I'm about to say, is it's very hard when you're in the box to tell if a field goal is good or it's not good. So early in my career, I learned that when you're on the road, you're looking at the fans behind it. And if the fans are starting to rip and roar, you know it's no good. If they just don't do anything, it means it's usually right down the middle. And so when he kicked it, I looked at the stands, and I see the crowd. They're like, ah, and then they just go silent. I'm going, I start, he made it. And then it dropped, it was online. Mm-hmm. It just dropped. And so contrary to popular belief, a lot of people go, well, y'all should have practiced that. And you're here. We practice that every Friday in our walkthrough script before we actually went over that scenario the Friday before we went and played the game on Saturday. Okay. So that was practiced, but I'm watching. So I knew the lanes and everything. And Ed Stinson was our right wing. Mm-hmm. And so I see Davis come up and then take the left, as he's running down the Auburn sideline. As soon as he went to the sideline, I looked back to see where Ed was because he was contained, and then we had lanes coming in off of it. Like he was supposed to kick it back into traffic. And as Ed was running, he stepped right. He did not contain. He went inside of an Auburn player. And as soon as he went inside, I literally shut my notebook. I took my headset off, and I got up and walked to the elevator. I never saw Davis past probably the 35-yard line, and I was standing in the back of the elevator, and the elevator was just shaking. I mean, that place was rocking.
No, it was rocking.
And so I've never watched it. I've never seen it. I don't watch it anymore. We would have won a national championship. I feel very strongly about that. I've never won one. We played in the playoff the next year. You were gone, but I've never won one, and that was my shot. You know what I mean? And that one scars me probably to the day I die. That will scar me.
If we just go into overtime, I think we win that game. Because we were throwing all over them. The only two things that haunt me that game, and the second one is because it's the only time Saban's ever come to me and been like, I regret this. But the first one was one of our last drive. We had a bad snap. I pick it up, and I literally, as soon as I got it, I saw a window, and I threw the skinny post to Coop.
Yeah.
And Coop catches it, 10 out of 10 times. And this is just he takes his eyes off. He's in between the window, the safety corner, perfect, wasn't going to get hit. And it just literally one of those where he's like, oh, and it just goes straight to the ground. We score there, we win the game. And the only other time that I was really pissed was on the 3rd and 4th down. We ran
duo, right?
We went heavy, and we ran the ball. And
ran duo, right? Both times?
Yeah. And I was super pissed about that because I felt like if we go down, and that's the only time Saban's ever gone to me and said, I regret, on Sunday when I always would meet with him and said, I regret not putting the ball in your hands and letting you on 3rd and 4th down try to get us that first down.
And then we missed the field goal. Is that right?
Yeah.
That'll take the
Yep.
lead.
And then next series missed the field goal. What the crazy thing is, Cade was a great dude. But he was struggling during that time, but we kicked the field goal the next series. We drive all the way back down. We kick the field goal, and he makes it. He finally makes it. It was the only one he made all the game. He makes it, and we get a false start.
Yeah.
Which was a total BS call. It was just brutal.
No, it didn't show up on film.
Yeah, didn't show up on film. Like, it was just a bad hell. I think when we turned it in, the SEC came out.
I have talked about that on this podcast. Not that play, but that is one that when we turned it in on Sunday, they come back and they say, "Yeah, we missed that one." Well, thanks, we lost the game, and that cost us a national championship.
Right, exactly. Because we make that. Now we go up 10, and there's not enough time left.
They can't tie the game.
Right, they can't. There's no way. And so, and then we get that false start. He makes it, and false start. We go back, and then he shanks it way hard left. And that was when they went down and scored with like 36 seconds left or something.
Yep.
To tie it up. And so, man, that was that was frustrating because we win that game. Hell, we win. I think win three championships in a row. Because I think we beat the brakes off of Missouri. They were not very good, and then I think we beat Florida State for sure.
Yeah. Crazy question, because I think I know the answer to this one. If we win the kick six game, do you win the Heisman Trophy that year?
I would say so.
Because you had an extra game, and then your Heisman moment would have been the 99-yard touchdown pass to Coop.
Yeah. No, I think it would have definitely helped.
Because you finished second. For the fans that don't remember, and you finished second behind Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston. And you would have had the extra game, and then your Heisman moment would have ended up being the 99-yard touchdown pass to Coop.
Yeah.
Yep. That'd have been fun.
Part of it.
Yeah, part of it. Part of it. All right. Loudest stadium you've ever played in?
Whew. I know people say LSU and stuff like that. LSU was loud for me. The one time I played in the Swamp, again, my first year starting, first game playing after my injury. We played Arkansas the week before, then we go down to the Swamp, played them. It was a night game. They got the ball. He had John Brantley at quarterback. They got the ball opening kickoff, touchback. First play, they line up under center. They had two receivers, one on each side. They literally snap it as he's dropping back. You see the receivers are running go routes. False start. They back it back 5. They don't even come back to the huddle. They go back to the same formation and just line up and run the same play and throw an 85-yard bomb on the first play of the game, touchdown. And they right over Drake Kirk's head. And that is the loudest stadium I've ever been in at that point. There was beach balls, pool noodles, everything being tossed around in the stands. And I remember being like, damn, this place is rocking. And so we called the first play from the sideline and go out there. They can't hear me say the cadence. Luckily, we got it off. They signal in the second play. We're in our huddle. I'm on the side, and I'm literally screaming the play. And all I could see is Barrett Jones, and mainly Barrett, and he's screaming back, "What? What?" I was like, so I called timeout. You
On the
go to
first play?
sideline. No, this is second play.
Oh, so Nick's really fired up about you right now. He
Yeah.
loves his.
So he's like,
Nick loves these timeouts more than he does anything
yeah.
in the world.
So he's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I'm like, look, they can't hear the play.
Hey, what are we doing, AJ?
Yeah. I'm like, they can't hear the play. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm literally, my helmet was shaking, going back and forth. And so now that we call it timeout, now it's especially loud. And so he's like, what do you mean they can't hear the play? I'm like, listen, I'm absolutely screaming the play. Nobody in the huddle can hear it. And so I moved. My genius self was like on the sideline. I'm like, listen, this is what we're going to do. I was like, Barrett, you're the smartest I have on the O-line. You're going to stand to my left. Then maybe it was Kevin Norwood or Brad Smelly or somebody. I'm like, you stand to my right. I almost called the play out. Anybody that can hear it, great. If they can't, you two relay it all the way around until we all look at each other and everybody has the play. And then we're
playing a game of telephone in the huddle?
Yes. And so for the first drive, maybe drive and a half, we literally had to do that. That's how we called plays. And I was like, it was unbelievable. I had never experienced anything like that before.
You're the first person that's come up with a swamp. I mean, I knew it was loud, but you're the first person I've heard say the swamp was loudest.
Well, that place was.
I know at nighttime it can get rocking.
No, it was rocking. I mean, of course you have your usual, Death Valley. Hell, I think Mississippi State used to be loud because you had all the cowbells. But
dude, I've told people all the time when Mississippi State, when they're rocking. Now we got lucky. Yeah. Was that it may have been your senior year. We went in there and we got them out of it pretty quick. So they got quiet quick. But I got a headache every time I leave that place.
Yeah, that place gets loud.
I go ahead and take 2 BC powders to start the day. So speaking of BC powders, that's a good transition. We both have one other thing we have in common that we love is NASCAR. Yeah. So, when AJ and I go to Talladega and we have a strict no cell phone policy. And so over the years, I don't know what year this was. This is definitely the story we're going to tell. There's some things we can tell, we can't tell because it's a strict no cell phone policy.
Yeah.
All right. So one year I'm at South Alabama and Joey Jones, Kane Womack, who's now the head coach, he comes up with us. Joey Jones, Bryant Vincent, who is the offensive coordinator at UAB, thank you, is there. And then my agent decides that he wants to come. He's never been, so my agent flies in. I said, yeah, come on, we'll take care of you. So I'm from close to there, and you and I know some people that work for the track. And then my man Greg Montgomery gets us hooked up with a bunch of stuff. He's a Chevrolet dealer for down there and all that stuff. So we get rolling. So I believe we were in your granddad's. We were on Speedway Boulevard, which is people that have been to the infield of Talladega. We got a lot of people from the Southeast that listen to this podcast, so they're probably grinning right now. So we would have who else? Whose other RV was it? It was your granddad's and whose? Who had the other one?
Their buddies.
Their buddy.
His firefighter.
Yeah,
they're all firefighters.
They would kind of like put the RVs to where everything kind of went on in the middle. And we were down I guess I won't say exactly where the spot is located. Let's just say it's a big place in the middle of turn 1 and 2. Okay, at the end of Speedway Boulevard. And so my agent's down there, and he's not from the South. Okay, so we'll say that he's not from the South. And there may or may not have been some moonshine on the RV. Okay, allegedly. Okay. And so, and it wasn't like the hard moonshine. It was that moon. It was like the fine moonshine. Like it was like that didn't have any aftertaste. And so I don't remember if I was talking to your cousin Rusty. I don't remember. I was on the RV. Okay. And you were outside and my agent was outside. I know Greg was outside and Kane may have been in there with me. I don't remember. But anyway, long story short, Joey Jones was with us. He was outside. And then you come in and you say, Cisco, you got to come get your boy. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he decided he was like, everybody was kind of like taking a sip of the moonshine. and he decided to turn the whole thing up. And you said, you got to come get your guy. And I was like, what are you talking about? I said, he just killed this whole thing. And I thought he was going to die. I thought he was going to die. So we had to go sit him down. And luckily, hey, he was a soldier, though. He made it the whole night through. He made it.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but he wasn't walking very good. And this is like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This is like, I mean, we just now finished the nationwide race or whatever it's called now.
Right. Yeah.
And so it was a long afternoon for him. But the best part about that trip that happened right after that is it really started when you were a youngster, and you and I like to have throwing competitions. We play the goalpost game, we throw the buckets. And so there may not have been some moonshine involved. And so we decided between me, you, and Joey Jones, we were going to go out on Speedway Boulevard with footballs. And you had your footballs from you were the Bengals at the time. You had your bag of balls with you for whatever reason. Why did you have a bag of balls at the racetrack? Do you even know? They were just in your truck or something?
No. Remember, it wasn't my ball. It was a smaller ball that
that's why.
we had kept at the motorhome, like that we always had to throw, but it was like a junior size ball or whatever. Okay. But it wasn't like,
all right, we'll say it was non-regulation. How about that?
Yeah.
So we decided to sit about 40 yards away. They lay out trash cans everywhere. So we got one of these trash cans, and there are people walking up. And I said, AJ, I don't know, man. I don't know if this is a good idea, because, we're in the RVs. Nobody saw you and everything. And, you're in Talladega and you're Mr. Alabama. So I was like, this is probably not a good idea. We have a strict no cell phone policy for you to be. Yeah. And it wasn't like you were trying to be inconspicuous. You had like a Cincinnati Bengals shirt on. So I was like, this is probably not a good idea to go out here on Speedway Boulevard with thousands of people walking up and down and having a throwing contest. And we decided we were going to do it anyway. And so I was sitting there and I was like, I said, I better win quick, because this isn't going to last very long, because people are going to come up and start taking pictures and all that stuff. So it was me, you, and Joey Jones, because Joey wanted to get in on it.
Yeah.
And so there may have not been a little small wager on the line. And so we like to have see who could ring the trash can first. And we were taking turns, and your cousin Rusty, he was down there shagging balls and throwing them back. So we did. Surprisingly, it lasted. We got about 10 minutes into this thing, and nobody bothered. Nobody bothered you. Nobody said anything. And then I see out of the corner of my eye, I see these two, we'll call them middle-aged fellows, that they were wearing their Dale Earnhardt Senior shirts with their drinking their Natty Light, and they were walking up and down with, they were ready to go. They were straight Talladega. And I see them pointing and whispering like, hey, that's such and such, such and such. And I said, AJ, you see it? I said, yeah, I see it. I said, well, we better get couple more throws in, because I just knew they were going to come bother you or whatever.
Right.
And they walk up and they go, excuse me, are you Joey Jones? And I remember I slapped you and said, congratulations, son, you have been humbled. Because Joey was the AJ of Alabama before, back in his day. He was the fan favorite, from Mobile. And they recognized Joey as playing for Alabama, but they had no idea who you were. So that was the greatest. Was that were you the grand marshal of the race that week? Was that a different?
Yeah, no,
that was the one you were the grand marshal in too. So you're the grand marshal of the race, and we're out there throwing football in the middle of thousands of people, and they didn't recognize you. They recognized Joey Jones. So
some good times.
Good times.
Always have fun there.
All right, we got a couple more. We're gonna wrap this thing up. Key question is, since you're my tag team partner, do you believe in aliens?
I definitely think there's another form of life out there.
Okay, you're gonna go the political line. We're gonna get political all of a sudden.
Well, my only thing is there's so many planets.
You're just going by straight math odds, because we know how much you love your math.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking there's so many planets. There's got to be another form of life somewhere. There's been too many, whether it's UFO sightings or however you want to label it. I just think there's got to be something. And hell, they're probably on their planet and thinking the same thing. Yeah, thinking there's something else. So I think there's got to be something out there.
Do you want to know? Like, or you just want it to be like you don't want to know?
Well, hell, I've seen a couple people walking around Mobile, and I think they're already down here, brother. Like, that dude ain't from this planet. There ain't no way.
Oh, that's
So
beautiful.
it's
Are you?
probably. I mean, I probably got friends that are those. So
Yeah,
hopefully, I'll be good whenever they decide to invade.
I love it. All right, yeah, you got me on that one. All right, what's the chances, just for my sanity? Can you do me a favor? So we
Yeah.
got free agency coming up in March. Okay, whether you go back to the Falcons or where you go, wherever you go, can we get you back in
Yeah.
number 10, please?
Whew. Well, so I tried to get 10. I had texted Art when I first signed, um, and told Art, like, hey, he asked me what number I wanted, and I was like, let me get 10. And so I was going to get it in Atlanta, but come to find out it was retired. None of us had a clue.
Who's got number 10 in Atlanta?
It's an old quarterback. I can't remember his name.
Is that Wojciechowski? Not Wojciechowski.
I
What's
don't know.
Janikowski? What's my guy's name? That
No, no, no.
it's not
He
Chandler, is
wore
it?
11. No, I can't remember. He played quarterback.
I'm embarrassed. I don't know that because I was a Falcons fan growing up. All right,
Yeah,
so
I couldn't tell you.
let's say that it's one of the other 30 to 31 teams. Can we get you in number 10, please? Even if you have to pay
Yeah.
a small nominal fee to whoever has number 10.
Listen, you know I ain't paying nobody nothing.
I know you won't pay a dollar for. You're
Yeah.
not going to pay them. You're not going to give them a dollar. What's the most, like, out of curiosity? Have you ever tried to get number 10 and somebody said they would give it to you, but they would cost you?
Yeah.
Don't tell me who it was. How much was it going to cost?
In Cincinnati. Hell, Huber. He would tell anybody, but the punter, he's still there. And so when I got drafted, I said, would you ever be willing? And I think he said, yeah, it was 10 or 15,000. I'll give you the number. I'm thinking, ain't no way in hell I'll just change this number. I don't care about it that much.
Hey, but you'll pay $20,000 for your internet, but you won't pay $10,000 to get 10 back.
Yeah. Well, listen, at least I get something out of the internet if I ever. And luckily, I didn't have to pay that either.
It throws me off. I can't, like, I can't see you anything but 10.
The other number I really like more in, if I don't get 10, I've come to grow with number 2. Like, really like it.
Why? Where did that come
I
from?
don't know. I just when I was in Oakland, they stuck me in when they traded for me. They stuck me in 15, and I went to Grew, and I was like, Grew, get me out of this. Like, ain't no way in hell. He was like, oh, you don't like it? I'm like, nope. I'm like, get me out of it. I'm like, I can't rock it. Like, it's not me. And so he was like, what number you want? And so they gave me an option. So I was like, let me go with 2, just see how it is. And so ever since then, I just like it. I think it usually is a good looking number on a jersey. And so when I went to Houston, I rocked it, and for those 2 years, and so.
All right, special request from the old ball coach. Can we please get you back in 10? If the opportunity arises, can we get you back in 10? It really, I can't.
There.
Your email's got 10 in it. Everything's got 10 in it. Everything's got 10 in it. I can't do the other numbers. Like, Anyway.
No, I'm with you. Yeah,
I can't do it.
I mean, that's the same thing my mom. She always says. So
I've been rocking it since you were 13, man. I can't visually see anything else. So, like, I still call you like it was very hard for me. Is after when you went to the NFL, is one of your nicknames that I had for you was 10.
10, yeah.
And then now I can't call you 10 anymore because you're 5. Now you're 2.
Yeah.
It's one less nickname.
All right.
So,
yep.
All right, we're fixing to wrap this thing up. But I got a couple. We can't wrap this up without talking about the kids. You are now. Yeah. This is why you're going to get gray like me. You're now the proud father of 3 boys, like I am. Okay, so you caught me. Okay, but your kids' name. So your oldest is Trip. Okay, Your middle one's Cash.
Yep.
and your youngest one's Gunner. So you
Yeah.
got to. I
Gunner
know how you
Cruz.
Gunner Cruz. So you got to be honest with me because I know how you think, and
Yeah.
nobody's probably ever asked you this, but I've been wanting to ask you this. You were thinking about like cool athlete names when you named your kids, wasn't
Oh, 100%.
you?
What dad doesn't? Like, I mean, unless you're in like, the tech industry and you're
Yeah.
hoping your kid just like builds computers or something, but
Well, Tripp is Tripp because he's Raymond Anthony the third. Okay,
right.
because your
Yeah.
real name people don't. So your name is Raymond Anthony the second. I guess are you called the
Yeah.
second now, or are you still junior?
Junior.
I mean, I know
Yeah,
I know what
junior.
it used to be, but now are you considered junior still? I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
how that goes. So that's where
Yeah.
AJ came from was Anthony Jr. That's how AJ became AJ instead of your name. But
Right.
Tripp's the third, so it's Tripp. Okay, I like that.
Mhm.
So that was very creative. Okay, I knew
Yeah.
that. And then Cash, I knew as soon as you told me I'm naming the new one Cash, that's when it started clicking in my head. And then you're wanting the last one to be he's already a mammoth. The baby's already huge.
Oh, it's
So
huge.
Gunner. So you want Gunner as the quarterback.
Yeah. Well, and we
And Catherine
called
came up with Cruise because she likes Tom Cruise, right? Call me a liar.
No, I literally our deal the whole time was, hey, if we ever have a girl, you get to name the girl, and but if we have boys, I get to name all the boys, whatever I want. And so
She's
she
pissed.
was, oh yeah, she was pissed, because she never got to name any of them. But uh, no, Cash, his is Cash Carter, and so I just liked. I thought Johnny Cash and
Oh, I know.
Clint Boyer's son is his son's name is Cash, and so there was multiple people, and I was just like, man, I've always liked that. It was a cool name, and so that's why I went that route for him, and then Gunner Cruz, and we call him Cruz. Like, but yeah, when you think of like, all right, if they do write headlines, if he plays sports, if he's in the the Mobile Press Register, like if he plays well, it's like cash was cash money or
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
But and I'm also sitting there, so you have to think of the bad. It's like, all right, well, if he plays bad, it's like the bank is empty or something like that. So I'm
Cash has
like,
gone broke.
yeah, right. So it's like you have to think of all the things. And
I
then
think he'll be all right though, because I think he's going to grow. That's the one thing that it's kind of like if you're one of my kids, like they're going to get the worst ribbing at home. You're
oh
not.
yeah,
It can't. They'll grow up tough. They'll be okay.
and especially that one, my middle one, Cash is, whew, boy, he is me made over like from a mindset and
Yeah,
stubbornness,
congratulations
and
on that.
oh Lord,
Yeah, all that
he
stuff
is
you put me through. Wait till they get a teenager. That's the best part.
man, I'm not looking forward to. Well, I am, but we might have some fights. Me and him, he's gonna test me.
Yeah, me and my middle one's just like me too, and
Yeah.
we butt heads a little bit, and you would not, you'd be like, let me show you how to deal with that one. All right, what's the best food that Catherine cooks?
Man, she loves cooking. Like, she makes a Cajun style
I see you
shrimp
looking
and
over there. You
grits.
trying she can hear you, so you're trying to get some brownie
Yeah, well,
points.
I'm no. She what would you say? I mean, for me, it's shrimp and grits. Like whenever that's on the
Shrimp and
list, like
grits. Catherine can cook
she'll give
shrimp
it.
and grits.
Oh, dude, she makes a Cajun shrimp and grits that like is unbelievable. Like literally could easily go in any seafood restaurant around here, and she put like cut up Kaneka sausage with crispy bacon, like all kind of stuff in there. And it's just phenomenal. That she made a first time ever last week red beans and rice,
Okay.
which was
She put
phenomenal. Made
sausage in it
everything
too.
from
Kaneka
scratch. Yeah,
sausage in it.
yeah.
Oh,
Made it from scratch. So she has a bunch of things. She's an excellent cook. Now I know not to push the limit on because she's only going to cook like 2 or 3 times a week like you can't. She's not a come home every day like she's gonna cook, because she ends up just getting to her limit where she's like,
Well, yeah, she's got 3 kids because
yeah, no, and I'm all for it. But I can already tell, like, all right, you cooked 2 nights in a row. Like, I'm not even gonna ask what's for dinner. Like, I'll
you just
just
go
go
straight
pick
to
something up.
Fusaklis.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, how many times a week have you eaten? What's your average now? What are we down to eating at Fusaklis? How many times?
Yeah, I haven't had the foo hardly ever. So in the off season, I try to limit bread as much as possible. Now I'll have it every once in a while, but in the off season is usually when we try to uh, either eat what she's cooking or eat a healthier deal of some sort. Because I know if I don't, then um, that's, when you take that 2 week break after the season, like you can gain 30 pounds like it's nothing. So I try to limit myself.
The foo is one place when I go to Mobile, I'm going to eat. I'm going to find me a
Oh,
foo and eat.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely go, like, as soon as I get back in town after the season, like that Dreamland, like, even though I haven't had Dreamland since I've been home either, because I know if I sit there, I'll eat a whole plate of bread with sauce. But
with a sweet and low in the sauce.
do what?
I like to put the sweet and low in their sauce. Like you take a packet of sweet and low, you put it in their sauce, you stir it up, and you dip the bread in there.
In barbecue sauce?
Yeah.
Really?
No, not in barbecue sauce, in Dreamland's barbecue sauce.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
In their sauce, and I get the white bread, and I just dip it in there, and I can drink it. I mean, that's where it's at.
I'm there. Yeah, I don't. It just makes it sweeter.
I don't know. I just like somebody. I don't remember who. I remember it was Shane Sullivan. Somebody, one of them, showed me that trick one time, and I did it because we used to go down there all the time, because it's right down the road from St. Paul's.
Right down. Yeah.
And every time I go back, that's what I do. Hey, now that I'm living up here and you're down there, and we don't get into trouble as much anymore. Was Catherine really? Was she? Because she played like it was right when y'all first got married. So I just knew I was going to get you divorced before you even got started. But was she ever mad at you for when I would come over, like after we'd play golf all day, then we'd come over and go and do iRacing in the basement? Would she get pissed off?
No, she's so used to it now. I mean, she doesn't care. She kind of just lets me.
She's freaking giving you the cut stink eye right now. I can tell.
No, she's actually facing the other way. She's got the.
Yeah, she can't hear what I'm saying. She can't hear. You're in the headphones.
Yeah.
She can't hear what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. But no, she's used to it now.
She's a saint for putting up with you. I can tell you that she is a saint.
100%.
Like,
yeah,
she's a saint. There's going to be a special spot in heaven because I tell you right now, I would get home. So my wife, I already had 3, and I think you had 1 at the time, and we would go play golf before. Thank you to the IAWP rule, NCAA, because I had about 2 months to where you and I played golf every day, all over the place.
Yeah,
and we would leave if we were playing like in Biloxi or somewhere like that. We'd stop at your house on the way back and drink a couple of carbonated sodas and did iRacing, and you get mad at me when I wrecked your car in your account. But my wife would be mad when I get back. She was like, "You've been gone for 14 hours. How long was going around the golf?" It's like like, they were so slow in front of us, and we were sitting there, had to wait and wait and wait. But all right, before we close, we're just to close it up. Tell how we feeling. How's the rehab going? We'll get because I know the truth, but I know what's going on with it. You're ready to go, but how's the rehab going?
No, it's going great.
We'll be serious for about 30 seconds as we close it up.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, I was 4.5 months. Tomorrow will be 5 months out from surgery. But 2.5 weeks ago, I was up in Birmingham with Dr. Kane and Kevin Wilk and all them, and got cleared to do pretty much everything other than contact. But I mean, to get cleared from from an ACL reconstructional surgery and be cleared at 4.5 months out is pretty incredible. So
Dr. Kane is a wizard, just so you know. He's like,
yeah, no, he's great.
If anything ever happens, knock on wood, to mine, I don't care
Yeah.
how much it costs, what out of network pocket. I don't know. They're going to see
Right.
Dr. Lyle Kane, the best in the
Yeah.
business. Period.
Yeah. Him and Kevin are awesome team to deal with and be a part of, and but I feel great. I've been doing drops and throwing and everything else. I was doing that before the season ended in Atlanta, so feels great. I just got to keep building strength up in it, but I'll be completely, ready to go by OTAs.
All right. So the next time we get on a golf course, there's not going to be any excuse where I haven't been able to swing a golf club in this mountain. It's just you
Well,
lost,
now
right?
I haven't been able to swing a golf club, so I gotta get, but I'll be ready to go by that time.
Oh, you'll be ready?
Yeah,
All
I'll
right.
be ready to go.
Well, AJ, I thank you so much for joining us. It's been a blast. You're more than welcome to come back on anytime. I love you to death.
Yeah.
It's been it's one of the most unique relationships in my life because again, you're 13 years old, so you were like a kid when I started meeting you. Then it turned into being more of a mentor thing, a college coach thing, and then now it's like you're my brother, like my little brother. So it's a very unique. When they say the player coach relationship lasts a long time, it's been a minute. So we've known each other longer than we've been like more than half our life. So it's a unique. Think about that. We're getting old, dude.
Old.
So
old.
But look forward to it. Can't wait to see you next year wearing number 10 wherever you're located.
Yep.
And if it's in Atlanta, we'll just have to go buy it from somebody. We'll have to unretire it.
Yeah.
So I want to thank nice. AJ for joining us today.
I appreciate you having me on. Love you to death. Like you said, created some unbelievable memories growing up, and look forward to many more. And until next time, take care.